And we are live. Hi, this is Sandra. How are you guys doing? JJ is here getting us set up. Live from the Microsoft Store. I'm excited.
Why'd you stop talking?
Oh, sorry.
The people,
well,
they want to hear what you have to say.
For JJ. Don't forget to come visit us. I think JJ is still going to be here tomorrow. If he's not here tomorrow, I'll probably be here tomorrow evening. Stop by the Microsoft Store. Come see us. Don't forget to check forecast. And we're waiting to hear from who's visiting Kansas City as well. So lots and lots of good things coming up. Tonight we have a roundabout of news, and we are also going to talk about the exciting things that we did this week. So very interesting people we met this week from small businesses and developers alike. So we have quite a show for you.
Tell them what you did before you got here today.
Well, so this is my second stop. I almost feel like I had a presentation at the Saint Louis Galleria Association. We were talking about testing mobile applications, and we had a really good time. We were talking with people who come from mobile and as well as web-based applications. So we were really just having a nice discussion about the different perspectives from people in corporate situations and people who are individual developers. We walked through a lot of really interesting things. Everything good? All checking good? Fantastic. So,
hello everyone, welcome to STLTechTalk podcast. My name is JJ Hammond, and tonight we have a fantastic show. We're kicking off live from the micro stores here in St. Louis. And this is a culmination of a week-long project of mine, personally. If I just blew your eardrums out, I apologize. But this is a week-long project for me because I was here during the National Small Business Week for the Small Business Association. So that was pretty amazing stuff covering that.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of guests. The first day, Trina, the store manager, and a couple other associates did a wonderful job explaining Windows Office for mobile and enterprise and how small businesses can use it to better their business and, kind of grow them and stuff like that. The second day was also a great. Third day, well, actually, the second day was a little crazy because I walked in and they're like, hey, by the way, you're going to be doing a presentation. And I was like, that's fantastic. I didn't even know I was that day. Did a great job. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We
have a wonderful audience here
today.
We have
a wonderful
guys,
live
let us
audience.
Hear you. Yeah. All right.
That's awesome. Let's just get right down to it. I usually do a nice introduction of the guest, but we don't necessarily have a guest because we are the guest here at the store. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and kick it off as we always do with our news rundown. Alejandro, go ahead and get us started with your first news story.
Well, the biggest story this week that I found was on Wired. Yahoo has been running a rather interesting strategy. They've been buying startups that are really popular, not top runners. The latest acquisition was Blink, which is like Snapchat. Now, the interesting thing about Yahoo's acquisitions is that the moment they make those acquisitions, they shut down those services. So you might be thinking, so what is Marissa Mayer trying to do with this?
Right. Which I did wonder that. I was wondering why buy a company and then just shut it down? It doesn't make any sense.
Now, if you think about it, she's not buying the top runners. Like Facebook is nagging the WhatsApp, which had 450 million users. But it is said that Marissa said when she joined Yahoo, because she was at Google before, if you remember, she said, when I got to Yahoo, mobile was everybody's hobby, but not anybody's
priority.
Yeah, so she's actually buying talent, if you will, by acquiring these companies and putting those top-notch people who know mobile and get mobile to now build the services on Yahoo. So a lot of flack for that move.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up Yahoo because Yahoo actually was a big part of the conversation the first day we're here. We were talking about and about how soft
Yep.
and I didn't even know pretty much the other. But that's pretty intense. And then the fact that you can get pretty low cost advertising and in front of a lot of different people, that was also really cool.
Yep.
But you know, I didn't know that Microsoft had such strong arrangements with Yahoo. That was just, it was really interesting for me to find that out.
And just to give you an idea of the numbers behind this, so Yahoo has acquired about 40 of those startups, and 30 of those have been under the shutdown model for the strategy. So,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
I think Yahoo's strategy, they're trying to not build standalone apps like Facebook lets WhatsApp, well, they're still doing Facebook, and
Right.
maybe integrate some services.
Right.
I think what Yahoo is trying to do is when you go to Yahoo, there is Flickr, and there is all of these different services that you would never imagine there in Yahoo, but it's part of the immersive experience of Yahoo. So,
Doesn't Tumblr, isn't that underneath Yahoo's umbrella? Yeah.
I think so too. Yes.
So I mean, that's pretty interesting that they're deeply rooted in the social networking scene, and they're kind of messing around with buying those and different stuff like that. But you can see how the partnerships make sense for Microsoft and Bing and Yahoo to team up, because without each other, I mean, Google will just run the gauntlet.
Yes. Well, I'm a Flickr for us to use.
Yeah, a walkthrough. That's have no. So yeah, you recently did that story of the week. Xbox story. Found out that they're dropping the price of the Xbox by $100 to $399, and that's interesting to me because when a lot of people gave Microsoft a lot of flack for you know, backtracking on some of the really cool ideas that they originally had when they shared the fact that they were going to allow you to download games and be able but you'd always have to be connected. So I didn't know if you know, I didn't know if this would seem like backtracking to anybody, but I think this is going to help sell more Xboxes. What do you think?
I think so too. I think since the PlayStation 4 came out, the price point is always the kind of turn for many people to try long time hardcore.
Right.
So I think this is a very smart move.
Right.
I think the Kinect brings definitely a whole new dimension of experience, but if people just kind of want to get started, I think it opens it up. I like that they're making the services open so you can watch Netflix without having to have the.
You just stole one of my stories.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Well, talk about that a little bit. I mean, because the drop in the price with Xbox, it never made sense to me that you could buy a Roku device for $100 and not have to pay an additional fee just to watch something you already paid for.
Right.
So a lot of the times Microsoft said, well, that's, you know, to allow us to make more money and recoup some of the cost for having these services on our device. So that, you know, because we have to make applications for them and we have to do this and we have to do that. So that kind of made sense back in 2000, but that doesn't make sense now. And especially with the shrinking gamer market, everybody enjoys playing games. We got some guys over here playing right now, and we've been seeing people all week play. But
also the launch of the Amazon Firebox.
Right, exactly.
What's
Fire
it called?
TV.
Fire TV.
Fire TV.
I think that also puts some pressure because they're bringing all these ecosystems that let you play with and watch all of your content without additional subscriptions.
Right, and I see this as a kind of good competition. So let's go ahead and
yeah, well, so speaking of Microsoft, if you are running the Windows Phone 8.1 developer preview, last night they actually launched an update to the dev preview. Now this is for you who are running the dev preview, not for users of 8.0. I noticed too, because I have a device on Windows Phone 8, that they started pushing a lot of updates to the apps, which is very common when a major update is coming for publishers to get all of their bugs out, all of the backwards compatible things ironed out. And so the day that they launch 8.1, you're going to see that those apps are going to automatically ask you to update. But I think this is why you're seeing that rush of publishing those apps right now.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to any word you're saying.
Oh, that's okay.
No, I'm just.
And if you want to know what's
No,
in the 8.1 preview
I do.
update one, those mostly are bug fixes. Some people have reported having Wi-Fi issues. Those are still happening. So if you were hoping for those to be fixed, that's still not part of that fix batch.
So a lot of that problem, even before this most recent update. So it seems that they haven't exactly fixed
correct
that issue.
Yeah.
So that's kind of concerning to me. I know a lot of our the audience that's out here right now. Some of you guys are definitely running the new Windows 8.1. Did you guys get that update today? You did? Okay. Yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah. My days are starting to bleed together because I've been in this place.
Yeah, you've been living in the store
I've been
every
living
day.
in the store. Yeah. All my days are green. So the one thing that I noticed that I didn't even mention the last time we had our Windows Phone meetup group was the fact that these applications update in the background, and I don't have to authorize that.
Right.
I like that, but it's kind of weird because my phone will start vibrating, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? You know, because I think that something happened, and it just said, well, we updated these 3 apps.
Yeah, you can get to a point though, and as all of you know, if your phone doesn't have enough battery, it will say, hey, I have to wait till your phone has enough battery to continue the process. So
that makes sense.
Maybe one way that you may find out that the update hasn't kicked in. So check your battery. If the update hasn't gone through, maybe just have to.
Actually, that's really good. That's really good information, yeah, for people to check out. Speaking of Windows Phone, we did hear this week that LG is rumored and HTC is rumored to start making Windows Phone 8.1 devices. Now, it's rumored that HTC is going to be locked down to Verizon, which is kind of interesting. With these, our poor guy in the back,
yeah.
Little sigh there.
Sorry, guys.
So it's interesting that they're going to be locked down. The reason why I say it's interesting is because under this new Microsoft, we've seen more common sense solutions, right? We've seen Satya Nadella talk about how thanks. So we've explained how to do that makes sense for the company overall, and I think that that's phenomenal and great. But then you see these carrier exclusives, and that doesn't make any sense to me in this current environment where you can pick up a 520 for cheap and kind of pretty much bring it anywhere, or other devices like that. But I mean, it's not a bad device, but I'm just saying I would like to see more.
As you know, we in North America are behind the markets in Asia.
We are,
They're pretty much, you go buy a device of any flavor and you shop around for a service. I think we're slightly moving in that direction, and that's really, really exciting. I think it always, like I said, always has to benefit the consumer, us, so that if they're paying attention, and I think Satya, the new Microsoft CEO, is definitely committed to their consumers. If you remember the old days where Microsoft announced something and we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and now it's like they say that and it's here, and I have it like right away, and I can even preview it. And in the past, it was so locked down. It was
so locked down.
Absolutely.
And even though we're sitting here talking about Windows Phone 8.1 and all of its awesomeness, it's still not out to the mass public, the normal people who come in and they buy devices. So they need to get over this over-the-air update stuff figured out, and I think that's pivotal for them to move forward with that.
Yeah.
So what's next on your list?
Well, and speaking of apps and over-the-air, Google has announced that you can now buy Android apps using PayPal.
That's very interesting. Just because they're making it, if you want to make money, you need to figure out the easiest way for you to connect A to B. It's a straight line.
Right.
So if you've got more avenues for people to pay you, I mean, that's just more revenue. I mean, it only makes sense to allow Apple doesn't do that, do they? I don't think so.
Amazon doesn't either.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
a big problem. I will love for Amazon to take PayPal. I'll probably not do very good.
Do you think maybe licensing fees and stuff like that? Because
it keeps costs down, because PayPal as a merchant charges you a fee for completing the transaction. You as the buyer, you're pretty much just getting to pay the price that is published, but as a seller, you have to give them a fee. The only way that you can go around that is if you're a non-profit and you want to accept some donations or gifts, then you don't have to pay any fees.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so that's This is extremely interesting. And just to go one step further on the payment side of things, we still don't have a solution for like the wallet. But we did hear that the iPhone maybe is be coming out with the NFC capability.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that'll boost, the sale of maybe some more Windows phones, because that is really nice with the hardware and with the software. I mean, because you can write and program NFC just straight from the phone. It's not like a total geek thing. There's a lot of people that can figure it out.
I think that the biggest change we're all waiting to see is that no matter what device you carry around, whether it's a mobile phone, a tablet, a phablet, a smart camera, if you just want to pass information even to your own devices, forget that you have some other guy with a different device. You just want to move something from your device to your computer or to other device. It's so difficult sometimes to find an easy way to move things around, and I think Apple has tried with AirDrop, which is nice if you're only on Apple, but if you want to share photos with family or things like that and they're not on Apple, then it gets into those issues. And so I think we're getting to the point, and NFC is pretty good. I would love to just go and bump my Windows phone to an iPhone and say, here's my
That's the
contact
quickest way
info.
for me to lose money. And, because every time I open up my wallet, it makes me double check myself. But if it's on my phone and I just do this, it's over. It's game over. I can't.
Well, I remember when the first Surface was announced, the big Surface, not the Surface that we know. You could just drop your credit card on the Surface to buy something. It was like, click. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. And it's interesting that they don't have it here in the store to where you can just drop it.
Yeah,
maybe the cost of the pixelation.
I think there's still
high.
some out in the wild.
Yeah, I'd like
hotels,
to see that.
casinos may have that, where you can buy a drink and gamble and stuff. Yeah.
So let's talk also a little bit about TechEd. TechEd recently happened, and IT professionals in this space are always feeling pushed by not just Microsoft but other cloud entities. Actually, here, I'm gonna get a little close. I'm gonna bring it in close. Anyway, so
too cozy.
Yeah. So during TechEd, there was zero software release from Microsoft, which is really interesting because they had been a big proponent of server software and being able to, speak to IT professionals and say, hey, here's how you do this and here's how you do this. And we actually talked about this in the National Small Business Meeting a little bit, converting people from on-prem servers to offline and cloud storage and all of that. So it's a great read. Go to our site, STLTechTalk.com, to check out more information. That was hot, wasn't it? That was a nice little plug. So anyway, so what we did learn is that they're understanding, though, of how there's a differentiation between the IT community and the server side, and understanding the problems, getting all of that legacy information to the cloud. So that was a really interesting thing. What we also learned this week was Link for small business. I didn't know that you could do so much stuff with it. And it was really interesting to see you don't have to, we use Google Hangouts for this kind of stuff, but it was really interesting to see that you don't have to leave a window. You can do everything inside of one window. You can do screenshots, you can remote desktop control and all of that just from one single interface that's really clean, broadcast HD video. It's really nice and it's really great interface. I would like to see Microsoft release that to maybe the consumer. Like the Office 365 subscription. Speaking of which, we're actually giving away an Office 365 subscription, so we need to figure out how we're going to do that nonsense, because I didn't even think about it.
I think we'll take business cards or names if you don't have business cards.
Just throw it out.
Either way.
Who doesn't have Office 365? You?
Everybody has one.
All right, so we'll let you talk here in a minute when you do your next story, and then I'll. There's an awesome app on Windows Phone. It's called Help the Guest, and I think I just took a picture or something. Or he took a picture.
No, he took a picture.
Anyway, Help the Host. Help the Host. There
you go.
And that way we can raffle that off, and also we got some stickers here and stuff like that. So also we looked a little bit about Yammer and the interesting social integration there. And Small Business Week has really shown me Microsoft's commitment not only to the IT side, developer side, to being able to do these outreach programs and make it easy for customers to understand what's going on. Even though there's free alternatives, it's not exactly the best alternative, I think, overall. because you're working with a very established ecosystem, and
That's true.
Google's changed their interface 3 times today. So
Well, it happens a lot with that type of
yeah, just kind of in and out.
environment. Yeah.
But you're up. Since we're talking about Google, why don't you talk about Glass?
Well, before I get to that, I just wanted to say that there is a very interesting trend in the industry, particularly in St. Louis. For those of you who are St. Louis natives and viewing us from here, as you know, the Agile storm started a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago, and now everybody's talking about mobile services and cloud storage and cloud. It started a few was to realize that when you're using OneDrive, or it'd be just it's on just go anywhere in the world, access those.
Right.
The pictures that we've been sharing here at the store were taken with a Nokia phone, and we share them via OneDrive to the store,
Right.
and they are actually showing them here in a really cool slideshow.
Yeah, it's
That's
really cool.
on the consumer side. I think
Right.
on the industry side of things, one thing that is happening really big when I was DevOps, and that's basically the agile conversion of deployment and releases and the services that are provided to users is really the agilization of the rest of the software development
Right.
lifecycle. So there's a lot of really interesting things going on. This week was a prime example of us reaching out to those small business owners, those people who are living it, and that
Right.
are realizing all of the opportunities that can come from all of those layers of services.
Yeah, and it was really nice. I mean, like off-the-wall questions that you wouldn't expect. But I mean, that's real-life scenarios.
Mhm.
People have different, unique, case-by-case bases, and finding out how to deal with those is awesome. And like you said, Microsoft does
It's
a good
easier
job.
than ever right now. You can subscribe to any
Right.
service provider like Windows Azure, and you can just write a website, publish it on Windows Azure, and not spend a lot. If you start growing your visitors,
Right.
you
Right.
have
You're
to
gonna have to
spend some
turn up
money.
your CPU usage.
But it's so affordable, and I'm using it for some things, but it's really affordable. I mean, it really boils
Absolutely.
down to pennies.
Yeah.
Unless you of course start a multi-million global market, then of course you'll have money to pay for all of that. So to the Google Glass story.
To the Google Glass story.
As you know, Google Glass was first in the Explorer program, and you could only buy it with invites, typical Google. And then it was available recently for just one day, and it sold out. We talked about that a couple of podcasts ago. But just so that you know, if you want to spend $1,500 on a Google Glass, you can now go buy it as availability allows it. Now, to make things even more interesting, there's also rumors of a Google Glass 2 already. So maybe think about if you really want to have the first version, or if you want to wait to see what they fix on version 2 of Google Glass.
Awesome. So Google Glass, honestly, I could care less about that so much that no, I think it's cool, and I think people should get used to it because I do believe Microsoft is working on a Google Glass system, and I think it's going to work really nicely with the Xbox. People may say that I'm wrong, but I don't really care. And I think that it's going to be a really cool immersive gaming experience. And I think it's going to rival things like Oculus. It's not going to be as awesome as Oculus Rift because
Probably
I mean nothing really can be unless it is Oculus Rift.
Right.
But I think that we're going to see a lot of that with being able to, like the elderly, they're going to be able to experience what it's like to go back outside again if they're bedridden, just different stuff like that. So I do see its potential, and I do see why it's important.
Oh, yeah. All I keep thinking is Minority Report.
Minority Report, yeah, moving my hands around like this. No, that stuff's exciting, and the fact that it's out, I just wish it cost right around $80 to make, $1,500 to the consumer. I don't see that being a good trade-off.
It still looks too permanent.
And
I
it's
think
still
to the
really
point
weird.
that it's making people targets of cyberbullying and bullying. When
I know,
people
and
see,
bullying.
hey,
Yeah,
there's a guy with that glass. Let's go bother him.
Yeah, let's go bother him. But I do think that there is a place for it, and I think that it's the future. Hands down. That we have a winner of our Office 365, so we'll get him over here, and he can be like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Awesome.
And then we'll give away some other things later, maybe, if I'm feeling, if people are feeling lucky.
Yeah, I don't hear much cheering here.
I know, I don't feel it at all. I'm not feeling it.
Falling asleep here.
All right, what news do you guys want to hear about? Anything? All right, so today the FCC was released information about net neutrality. So that I don't put everybody here to sleep, let's talk about 270. We're all familiar with 270. If you could pay to be in the fast lane, and only people that paid to be in the fast lane could be in the fast lane, would you want that kind of thing? Would you want to be able to pay to be in the fast lane? No. I want the Autobahn. I just want there to be no speed limit at all, and just
drive as fast as you can.
Just drive as fast as you can. All right, so the FCC is pretty much saying that if you want to drive in the fast lane and pay for it, you can. And they're totally cool with that, which means that Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, all these other cloud providers are going to have to pay if they want to get faster service. The internet will not be, quote unquote, open, which it is right now. Right now, on 270, you got to do 60 miles an hour. Now, all of us don't do that, but especially the other day. By the way, me and Kevin were on our way here today, and you guys, this is an awesome story, I swear to God. So we're coming on to 270, and we see a tire in the middle of the road. Big truck tire. We're not a little tire, big truck tire. Car runs over it, tire, everything, with the rim inside of it, bounces in the air, lands on some dude's cube-looking car, like one of those square cars, mashes in the whole windshield, the front windshield. And this dude had the calm and cool collective to be all the way over in the fast lane and get over without wrecking anybody or killing anyone.
Wow.
So whoever you are, if you're watching this or know who that was, kudos to you for not killing more people, because that was phenomenal. So anyways, you're going to remember net neutrality from now on, aren't you? But so net neutrality is basically where all these companies can say you have to pay if you want faster service. So if I'm STLTechTalk, we're streaming this right now. If I want this to be in better quality or faster or gets more people like that, then I have to pay for that.
Yeah.
Instead of it being open like it is right now.
Yeah, and the problem for the consumer is that if you like service and they don't pay for that, then from very slow throttling problem with
the throttling.
your cell phone. Is that they can restrict it so that they can control who gets which bandwidth, which is unfortunate for the consumer because we don't get to pick which service we want faster. We want everything to work just as fast.
We absolutely do. And I'm going to go ahead and do a quick commercial here, break. Like I said, we have somebody here. Go to bridgestl.org and donate to this worthy cause. It's worth donating to. Just letting everybody know. Go ahead and do that. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was Office for Business. Mm-hmm. We learned about SharePoint. And holy cow, did I not know anything about SharePoint until I saw this. It was a nice experience to see. And it's one of those things that you wish everybody could be a part of. Mm-hmm. Do you use SharePoint?
I have been using SharePoint probably since 2005.
So yes is your answer.
So yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that.
And I still use it today.
And you still use it today?
Yes.
So it was explained to me that it's a rival against Dropbox and Box and all these other different companies who don't encrypt whatsoever. And so free solutions sound good at the time, but when you go to do it, you realize that all your stuff is not really all that protected. But in SharePoint, there's so many different layers of protection. That was really phenomenal.
Well, you have Active Directory, which is Microsoft's solution for access control. In the past, actually put together a website that at the time the options were WordPress, Drupal, SharePoint, or create my own website from scratch. And I was offering people membership to be part of this organization that I was running.
Right.
And so we had a paid and a free membership. So those who paid, we gave them. I created an account on SharePoint, and they could log in securely and see just a whole bunch of other services. And, you know, the password was safe. If they lost the password, you have to go through the process just like a Windows device.
Right. Right.
And I think that that same theme is what you find in a Windows phone with the remote wipe, which others are copying.
Right.
You have all of your data is protected, and in a company, if they issue you access to a site or a device, they
Right.
can
Right.
revoke that, and those devices useless or harm.
Yeah, we also found out, just popping back over to TechEd, that there's a service in which it's called, I believe it's Active Azure or something like that. It's like remote desktop virtual machine, where you can literally have virtual machines and then be running an Android device or an Apple device or a Windows device, but you go into a screen and you're actually running a Windows device on a virtual machine, and it's all covered on the back end with just your company information, and you're able to have access. That's really neat that they have that availability to scale it out like that.
Yeah, and back to the trends, if you're familiar with the term disaster recovery, which
Right,
basically
disaster
means
recovery,
if something happens to your data in your organization or to your servers, your infrastructure, and a disaster can be anything. It can be man-made.
Well, the tornadoes and
it could be natural
down
causes for a
there.
disaster.
Yeah.
The thing that happens is if you don't have access to your data, then how fast can you get back to normal operations? Because you can lose customers, you can lose reputation,
Right.
you can lose credibility. People are going to go and get their services from somebody else. So in the case of Azure and the cloud services, people tend to think of cloud as storing photos and files.
Right.
There's also the ability to have access to mobility services.
Right.
So if you're using email, if you have published applications that have to send notifications to users, think of Facebook. When somebody pings you, you get that little badge or tile notification. So that's an example. The other thing, back to the disaster recovery example, is that people are moving towards looking at cloud. If you read the Gartner reports, people are moving to cloud.
Yeah.
Because instead of having to host everything on site and having to go through the issue of a tornado hitting your building, well, now it's in the cloud and it's propagated, and you're just able to hook up a new laptop because your old laptop was crushed by the tornado.
And
just go back to business.
That's why I wrote this week. I wrote the cloud is not a bad word. I mean, the cloud is not a bad word at all, and it's okay. A lot of people have some reservations because cloud represents a lot of and whatever. People care.
Internet. It was
that's true.
The cloud.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so some people may still think of the cloud as that, and they're like, that's the public network that people steal things from. And
another thing was the fact that you can, and we heard about this in Small Business Week, where you can open up a SharePoint document or a document of some kind, and it's stored temporarily on whatever device you're on. So this guy, the presenter John Allen, the other day said, he was over at his Aunt Anne's house, and by the way, awesome pretzels that she makes.
Oh yeah.
But so he's over at her house, and he's like, I need to access something. He can actually log in, and Microsoft will allow you to download the Office SharePoint file or a Windows file or whatever or Word file, and it's in the temporary folder. It's only there for as long as you need it, and then when you log out, it's gone. So that kind of integration allows you to be more mobile and travel and meet more people's needs. Because a lot of small businesses need to have the ability to travel.
And if you cannot afford to buy or even rent expensive equipment, in addition to that, you can also buy, or rather rent on the cloud at a much cheaper cost.
Right.
Virtual servers, virtual machines to run tests, to do continuous deployment if you're really getting into the DevOps
the
bandwagon.
And bolts of it.
So it is getting really, really interesting. It's getting a lot more robust. It's kind of funny. We're kind of going back to the thin client. If you remember what a thin client is, it was those old computers that only had a floppy drive, so you could get into the internet, but there's nothing in the computer. So now if you think about it, the better the smartphones get, it's like the dumber they get, right? Everything is pushed out somewhere. I don't have to have so much carrying here, so I can make a faster device that can get to faster cloud services.
Right, and that's that brings me back to the Windows Phone. The fact that it can run on such low, it doesn't ask much out of the phone. It can run on things such as 512 megabytes worth RAM. That's the future. And it offloads all of that hard work to the cloud and via the internet and stuff like that. But that's where that net neutrality stuff comes back into play, and that's where it's such a big deal. Why I'm a huge advocate against the way the FCC ruled recently, because I don't believe that the internet is not like a highway. I don't believe that because you have more money you should be able to get more out of it, because how many poor people does it take to make for that person who has that money, to do what they do? And this isn't a socialist argument. This is an actual argument for the future of this country and this area. A lot of us depend on broadband service because we live so sparsely in the Midwest and stuff like that. And even on the coast, they'll tell you, they would much rather telecommute.
I think if anything, it's a reflection of how old our infrastructure might be, because they're probably fearful
how old it is.
How old it is. If you compare to other countries and you look at our infrastructure, and you wonder, why do we have this internet speed where other countries have 10 times the speed?
Right. Well,
and
they have
why only
trains
Kansas City get Google Fiber and we don't? That's another story.
Well, it's because we police the world, so we got to pay for that somehow.
Yeah, but we got better music here.
We got better music.
We got better music and better teams than Kansas City.
Yeah, sure. So this week, Kansas City Developer Conference is going on. So hopefully none of you fell asleep during what we were just talking about. Gus is out there, Kevin's out there, so please tune into the site and watch his presentations and different stuff that they have going on, because go team.
That's right. Yeah.
So go ahead and talk to us a little bit about, we're in the Microsoft Store. One of the main features of the fact that Surface has the snap. Windows 8 has have multiple windows open at the same time. We were talking about that the other day.
Yeah,
now,
so
what's up with Apple?
Well, one of the biggest rumors of iOS 8 for iPad particularly, not for the iPhone, because obviously of screen size constraints, they're saying that there's this feature that you're going to be able to multitask, which means they're going to have a split view like feature in iOS 8. So you can run two apps and potentially drag and drop information from one app to the other. So I think kudos to Microsoft and the Surface, because they're obviously setting up a trend for productivity, and I really applaud that.
I do too. I really do, and I like the fact that they're actually taking cues from Microsoft. A couple of things, they're doing right.
Yep.
Everybody bashes Microsoft for doing stuff that's wrong. Nobody actually gives them enough credit for when they do things right. I do like the title interface. A lot of the complaints with Google is the fact that they copied so much off of, and everybody's copying off each other, but it feels like everybody has able to be more functional in the space.
And one thing, everybody tends to think that innovation is something brand new that didn't exist before.
Right.
Innovation can also be improving something that already exists, or making
Absolutely.
it slightly different. And so people think, oh, this copycat. So I hope they really stop that whole bashing and playing games with suing each other. You saw what happened to Samsung and Apple. The judge ordered both of them to pay each other money. And
so what was the point of it? There was no point, really. But we also saw that the issue with the Sun and Java and Android and the back and forth between that does have some Microsoft ramifications, because some of those patents are held by Microsoft. So we're going to be in this patent battle for a long time, and I'm kind of concerned about over the long haul, because what the conversation is turning to is everybody likes to have third-party apps on Windows. Everybody likes to have third-party apps, period. Make developing easier. With these different patents, what's going to happen is they're going to be able to patent an API, and then once you do that, then you're going to have to pay somebody for being able to tie into one access point or another access point, and that's going to kill development and innovation. And that's insane to me.
Oh yeah.
Why that's happening is beyond me. I'm not. I mean, I get it, because you want to be the first guy to come out with it, the first one to talk about everything, but It is what it is. So
yeah, but any extreme is bad. I think when we saw the market shift to I just want to be out and be there first, you saw how quality started just going down. It happened to the best
Right.
of the best. Toyota used to be the king of quality.
right.
And if you have read news, Toyota is actually hiring back humans and replacing the machines that used to do the job because they recognize that humans do have something that they can bring
Bring back to the table.
that finishing touch that a machine cannot detect.
Right.
And so,
Yeah, absolutely. The next thing I wanted to talk about was, cross development and platform. We talked a lot about that this week about
Yep.
what does Windows have to offer as far as cross-platform, what it has to offer to business. We spoke with a couple of businesses, and they were just like, how do we get from point A to point B? How do we bring our legacy applications over? Through App Studio, you can do that. Contacting your local Microsoft rep or finding us, we will tell people and show people how to do that. So there's a lot of cool things there. The other thing was with Beats Audio moving from underneath all these different licensing agreements and now moving into Apple.
Yep.
Where do you see HP going? Because I'm looking at a couple of different HP devices right now that have Beats Audio in them.
yep.
Where do you see that
My
going?
HTC 8X has Beats Audio too.
Right.
Yep.
But new products that are coming out. Do you see Apple licensing that, or do you see them pulling that in house?
I don't know. Apple has historically been very close, so they get something and they just want to keep it to themselves. If you are familiar with the service Test Flight, which was for beta testing Android and iOS, when Apple bought it, they pretty much decided to stop supporting Android.
Right.
So we're hoping that Apple is just buying it because of its brand presence, but keep it as a somewhat separate product and not just cannibalize it.
Yeah, exactly. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Cortana. A lot of people have said that Siri is not a huge selling point for Apple devices, but yet I still see people using it.
Mm-hmm.
I use Cortana every day, and I see Cortana being integrated with a watch, being integrated with new devices that are coming out. Also, by the way, I'm going to be, and if you can,
Sign me up.
Get off work for a while. On May 20th, I'll be here in the store.
If my boss is watching.
Yeah, if your boss is watching. If your boss is watching, then we've really got some penetration, I tell you. So I'll be here 30 in the morning.
I'm talking about the May the 20th.
May 20th event. They're going to be releasing a device, and some speculation has drawn me to this story, which is, do you guys see there a space needed when you have the 2520, and when you've really, it's kind of rumored that way, and we haven't said that and all that kind of jazz, but we've talked about different stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I heard that it's either going to be a Surface Mini or some type of wearable.
Yeah. Right. Whatever.
But that's just a rumor.
Do you guys see a need for that in the market? You do? Awesome.
So everybody's saying yes.
Well, first of all, you have a 1520 and you got a 2520. So yeah, you don't need that.
You don't need the space. You're pretty much covered.
You are set, sir. But would you?
Just have to put them together and have the other space.
But would you like to have a digitizer on there? Yeah. You would. So that's what's rumored, though, and that's what's kind of interesting to me, because we're talking about something so small, but Intel's in the game as well. There's going to be an Intel announcement. And so could we see a Surface Mini running an Intel version and then a Surface Mini running RT? Do we really want like a Mini Surface RT, Surface 2, Mini Surface Pro on Intel? That just seems a little funny to me.
I was floored when I realized that Intel, arguably the primary provider of pretty much every decent computer that is out there in the planet, have not developed or produced a mobile CPU,
right, the system
chip.
On a chip.
Yeah,
Qualcomm has killed them. I mean, absolutely slaughtered them in the market. The expected LG device, which has a weird name, Una 8. It's and then an 8, number 8. Whoever thought up, I don't know.
They just
We're
keep
running
playing
out
with
of
that.
names.
I know.
There's too many people in the world, but we're running out of good code names. So they're talking about having the new Snapdragon 801 in it. So I suspect we're going to see an ARM version of this device with the digitizer and the ability, obviously the ability to write and take notes on it. But I'm concerned because one of the things that I like most about my Surface and about other Surfaces is actually mine doesn't have the double kickstand, but the kickstand. The fact that it's 8 inches, it's not going to need that. But it's supposedly going to come with a cover that's going to be able to have that capability in it, and also additional USB ports like the case that never came for your 2520. It's coming Monday. So tell me the time lapse on that. When you got, from when that was released until you actually are getting the November till now? Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. I would ask for a refund. I would still ask for a refund. I want my money back. You made me wait 7 months. Ish. I'm just joking. It's okay to laugh. All right. So having said that, I do think that there's a place for it. I agree. I think people out and about, the fact that my phone is a mobile hotspot, I don't necessarily need it to have E in it. I know that everybody talks about that. I want LTE in my tablet.
People who are on the road all the time, they don't want to necessarily go into the airport Wi-Fi because of security concerns.
Right.
Even though if you are in that situation and you don't know what to do, there is quite a bunch of free VPN providers that they can secure your connection. It slows it down a little bit, so it's not quite LTE fast.
Right, because it's checking and stuff like that.
It's probably a cheaper alternative if you're not wanting to spend the money on an LTE-enabled device.
Right. So if you don't spend the money on the LTE, but you still have LTE-enabled devices, AT&T has opened it up, and I think Verizon is going to be doing it soon as well. Obviously,
and like we announced before, those of you on GoFo plans.
Oh, they already did. Okay, so they already did. So we could see that on all the different plans. So you don't need to buy an LTE device to get that kind of functionality on this 8-inch device.
Yeah, like I was saying in the previous podcast, we said that those of you on GoPhone plans that pay as you go, now they also open the ability to have a
Wi-Fi without additional charges and things like that.
The price didn't go up, so watch our previous podcast too.
So what do you think the market's going to be like in the next couple of months with the release of Android Wear, which is their wearable device for watches, with the possibility of a Microsoft wearable device plus the new device that's going to be released? Obviously, we have Apple talking about an early release in August of their products. Do you think it's going to be like a battle royale, or
it's like the blockbuster movies in the theaters in the summer. So everybody wants to bring something hot and cool, and I think us as consumers are the ones who are the most, or the ones who benefit the most of all of this, because we get choices. As far as the surface and sizes and that, I think it's all about.
Oh yeah, I didn't even ask you. What do you think?
Yeah, I know. So,
and you're like, yeah, I know. You totally like.
There's a sweet spot for the devices for a tablet, and if you're one-handed or two-handed, if you want to read, if you want to browse, so whatever it is, I think more choices make sense, because for some people the Surface has not been an option. They think it's too heavy. Even the RT, as much as it is light, they still think it's the iPad is big. The iPad mini for some, but I think the 8-inch is kind of a place where some companies like Amazon has had a lot of success selling a lot. To the wearables, I think wearables are still kind of in diapers. I have a Pebble, which I got for Christmas from my wife, and I love it. I think it took everybody by storm that, we don't have to be so complicated. The device can be simple, and you can hook up to pretty much everything. So now everybody wants to bring on their own offerings, and if you're already in this ecosystem where you have Microsoft this, Microsoft that, well, hey, how about I just add one more to the family?
Absolutely. I'm obviously invested. Do you think actually just
okay. Is to get one too.
Oh, there you go.
That's how it
goes. I didn't think about it.
I don't get one. I have to get 2 of each.
And I'm open to ideas. I'm coming up with my 10-year anniversary, and I can't think of anything that's cool or sweet or nice to do.
Surface 8 inch.
Surface 8 inch. Yeah, okay. Yeah, she'd look at me like, you're gonna use this. I'm not gonna. It's like buying her power tools, you know, because I'm gonna use it. She won't use it, you know. But so I do see there being a very strong push. That's probably her telling me. Oh.
See, I saw.
What do you have?
Something? I'm watching the show.
Yeah, also the 12-inch Surface, because I believe Samsung is going to be releasing a device that's also very large, and I think that's 12 inches too, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. You know, we're a news show, but I couldn't tell you what happened in the news.
Well, I also read that Google is planning a Nexus 6 and a Nexus 8, just to add to the mix of things. So.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So I would actually look at and definitely tell people to check out a laptop if that can. As I look here and I see all these devices are great, I still don't think that there's just one device that I could point to and say, okay, you got the you have a note iPad or an iMac, note, whatever, and here's a Surface laptop. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no device that I can point to and say, boom, maybe that Dell out there that's for $2,200, but I still wouldn't. I don't know. But if Microsoft did it and they did it right, I think that would be really slick.
Because the funny thing is, we went from mobile where people wanted to do everything with one device, and now you see people carrying a whole bunch of devices.
Right,
so
right.
I check email on this one,
laptop.
I publish my blog on this one, and yeah.
Right. Right, exactly. So I definitely see that in the lineup, but I also see a lot of customers, and I think this is a concern for Microsoft, and I think it's a concern for even Android at this point, that if Apple does release a bigger screen device, people flocking back over who left Apple because they couldn't read the screens because the screen was too small. And, sir, I'm not going to beat you up because you have one of those. It's okay. Nothing but love. You too, sir.
Well, the numbers are showing that a third of the sales of mobile devices were on the sizes not provided by Apple. So those screens.
My wife just sent me and said, you know, you can get me a Surface Mini, and I use the power tools too, which is true. She does actually use the power tools. Yeah, my wife's awesome. But so
anybody needs other advice for gifts, just let me know.
A tile cutter? Oh, yeah. Nice, nice. I like that. Oh, we should make an app called Tile Cutters.
Okay.
That'd be pretty cool. We just cut up a bunch of apps and make a weird start screen.
Yeah, we cut them in pieces and then just make them do different things.
I also wanted to, and I'm sorry, Andy Long. Please, anybody that has a Windows Phone device, search Andy Long in the Windows Phone store. He has 42, if I'm not mistaken. Applications in the store. He does a phenomenal job. One of those is a track. He actually has a way to tap into all the cameras that are on the highways so that you can see what the congestion's like before you even leave your house.
Still, my favorite is the one with the parking lot.
Oh, the parking lot one.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I saw an ad for another app like that, but I still think Andy's is better. But Andy has an awesome parking app, and he's working with you. And, you know, I'm there as a pretty face. But other than that, I'm not contributing at all to our development of the Windows Universal app that's going to work on Windows Phone 8.1. It's going to work on Windows Desktop, you know, the modern UI. And I got to say, you guys are doing a wonderful job. And if anybody wants to hire them, you have to pay me and find me first.
That's right.
So we wanted to definitely give him a shout out as well this week. I also wanted to give a shout out to our guest last week from Front Burner. He did a phenomenal job. We talked about Xbox, we talked about gaming, and it was, you know, it wasn't one of those really nerd out type things, but it was great. You know, just the way that the kind of future is going with this stuff and how we can integrate it. The other thanks I want to give is to Microsoft for allowing us to sit in and have this awesome special episode and allow me to do the covering of these events. It's been a little crazy, but it's also been a little amazing meeting everybody and seeing everybody and stuff like that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap up here. Is there anything else you want to add to the end of this wonderful episode?
I have a shameless plug. My brother, who's studying filmmaking, is about to finish his first movie. If you go to guesswhatsfordinnermovie.com, check out what he's working on. He's taking PayPal donations. He's an indie filmmaker, but kudos to my brother in Toronto, Canada.
Kudos. Good job. Okay, fine. My brother is actually a filmmaker. We should probably talk about that.
Is he in Toronto too, in Canada?
Yeah. What?
Is he in Canada too?
No.
Okay.
So that's not going to work. But that would have been kind of cool to bring them together too. So not like that, guys. Don't think of it like that. But no. So it would be. So he's releasing something called Misery Mountain, and I'll go ahead and put that on the website as well.
Nice.
It was a 15-minute short film. But it was written and directed by him, and he did a phenomenal job, and I couldn't be more proud of him, of his achievements and stuff like that. So also don't forget to catch all of our coverage of this week of KCDC, the National Small Business Week. Thanks to Bing, everybody on the Microsoft team. We appreciate you guys in the crowd. Do you want to talk about anything and say anything else before we wrap this up?
Nope.
Just say yeah.
Woohoo!
There you go.
I think they're hungry. They want to go home and eat.
Oh, that's right. So if you want to be a part of one of the coolest Windows Phone groups ever, and probably one of the only ones, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest groups ever, go to STL Windows Phone Group, and you can find us on Facebook. Also, follow the Twitter handle, and that'll be all in our show notes. Please do that, and we're also working on a way to be able to figure out a better network so that when we have our Windows Phone meetups here in St. Louis, we can maybe meet up with one in Dallas, and we can do a Skype call. We can all chat and hang out and have a lot of fun. That would be I think that'd be really sweet. Also, we're going to be bringing some girls next time, so it's going to be a good time for everybody. Okay, not those kind of girls, but people who girls. Into technology. Yeah, not the ones with the tassels. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Good night.
We're out.